Welcome back to Beach Park District 3's Beyond the Bell, the podcast where we connect with the incredible people in our district and share the stories that make our culture unique. I'm Gabe Capozzo, the Director of Human Resource, and I am hoping everyone had a fantastic, restful summer because we are officially back at it. I want to welcome everybody to the 2026 school year. To kick off the 2026-27 school year, I have the absolute honor of sitting down with our top builder, the architect of our district vision, our superintendent, Dr. Denise Wilcox. Dr. Wilcox, woo! It is so great to have you back on the show. I encourage all of our listeners, whether you're setting up your classroom right now, you're driving to work, or you're just taking the well-deserved break that I know you've earned, turn that volume up and please like and subscribe to this channel. It is going to be an amazing school year. We've got some amazing updates today about our district theme, wins that I'll let you share. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, the future of the district, and a ton of other extra stuff. So, Dr. Wilcox, welcome back.
Thank you.
How are
you? So glad to be back.
Yeah, I know you are. You're always so grateful and so happy. So, you're the best guest, right? They're all great guests, but what a great way to start the school year with you. So, for our brand new Beach Park District 3 family members, one, I want to welcome you. Tuning in for the very first time to Beach Park District 3's Beyond the Bell podcast. Could you take a brief moment, introduce yourself, share a little bit about your journey, your background, what brought you to Beach Park District 3?
Sure. Let's see, background. Both my parents were educators, and they are the reason I became an educator, even though they didn't want me to become one. And my journey here, I took your usual route, right? I was a teacher for 13 years. Then I became an assistant principal. Then I became a principal. And then I came to Beach Park and was the director of curriculum and instruction for about 2.5 years. And then I transitioned into interim superintendent and have now just finished my 4th year as superintendent, starting my 5th in the district. So very committed and dedicated to Beach Park, and I absolutely love it here. I would definitely call it home by far.
Well, congratulations on your years of service here, and thank you again for everything that you do. We're going to jump right into it. So the blueprint. This year's got a theme. You're the best, by the way, at making themes. So,
well, thank you. I think so, but I'm not everybody's cup of tea, I can assure you.
I'm never thinking about when you're not here, but whoever ends up as the superintendent just isn't going to be able to scratch the surface. You might have taken all the themes by then, actually, because I don't know where you come up with these. They're amazing.
I think of them at 1:30 in the morning, and then I have a notepad next to the side of my bed, and I write things down because I don't sleep very much since becoming superintendent.
Well, I know that this theme is no different than any other year's theme, and you're going to max it out. So this year, are you willing and able right now, because we're a little bit ahead of the game, teachers come back next week on the 17th, are you willing and able to share with our audience this year's theme?
I sure am, because it already got revealed actually to new staff at the new staff orientation.
Okay.
And I did announce our theme at the back to school bash. So if people were there, they heard it. They just probably have not seen, I'll call it our logo for this year. But you know, Mr. Capozzo, it was partially inspired by you, because anyone who's watching this can look behind your head and see all of your Legos. And he has really grown my love of Legos, and I felt it was the perfect transition from what our theme was last year, Spark Curiosity, Ignite Core Memories, and building on that, the word build, it's build, spark, ignite, taking those 2 words from last year, and that we're in the process of building a legacy here in Beach Park.
Okay. I love it.
If you want to see, I have it.
Yes, please put it up.
This is this year's logo.
I love it. And I was just going to say, there's a really fun logo that's inspired behind this. So I'm glad you had that readily available.
I try to be prepared.
As a precursor, are people going to have access to these stickers?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone will get one on the very first day, along with another gift for them to put it on, and potentially any sticker they've gotten in the past 4 years that I've been superintendent.
Awesome. Sweet. I want you to know that I did get one, and I do have it on my water bottle. So I'm rocking it. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of those this year, which is amazing. All right. So you got the theme, build, spark, ignite, building a legacy. Tell us about this theme and specifically why building a legacy is the core for this year.
Because I like to build our themes one year after the other on each other. And I think sparking curiosity, igniting core memories was key to the development of understanding what our kids need and that we have to bring curiosity back into the classroom. And now, with all the work that we're doing on becoming Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence, this only builds on that specifically. So we're taking the idea of spark curiosity, igniting learning memories, and building on from there with the theme of Legos, building a legacy, because what we're doing by trying to become Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence is building a lasting legacy that'll last past me being here, past you being here, past all of us, because that should be our ultimate goal, is building a legacy of learning for kids in Beach Park and them receiving.
I love it. I love it. And I know we've talked about this before, like last year's core memory, just the jargon, it's part of people's lexicon. We were in a meeting yesterday. Actually, we had an administrative retreat yesterday, right? So all the leaders were there. And I'm sure you noticed, because now I notice all the time. But we had administrators talking about core memories were built. And last year, throughout the district, when we're transitioning in between buildings and talking to people multiple times, people have incorporated core memories into experiences that they've had from being a child, not just like what's happened last year or in the circumstance, but like historically, people are going back in their timeline of life and going, I had this core memory. So you've noticed it, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's so easy to relate to. Everyone has core memories. They could be good or bad, but everyone has core memories.
Yeah, they are easy to relate to. And for me, it really wasn't part of my vocabulary until last year. And now it's just a permanent part of my vocabulary. So I think that's awesome.
I think that's because you don't love Inside Out as much as your wife and I do.
That's also true. That's also true. But I mean, I have the Legos.
That is true. You do indeed. Yes, you do.
I've learned to love it. I do love it. I loved it at the time. I just love it more now because it's part of my life. So building a legacy, it sounds like a massive undertaking, but really it happens one day at a time in our district. So when our teachers welcome their students back on August 19th, which is next Wednesday, what does building a legacy look like in action inside the classroom?
So I think it kind of reverts back to exactly what you just brought up about us having an admin retreat yesterday with all of the leadership from the entire district. And how we started out was doing something individually and then partnering up with another person and then becoming a small group and then becoming a whole team. And I think that is how you build a legacy. It starts with every individual and you build on top of that. But I think one of my keys in this is you can do something individually. That's very easy to do. It is the building on top of that and working with a partner, working with a small team, working with a whole team. That is the process of building a legacy over time. And it's not going to happen overnight. You are not going to see the after effects of this theme until later down the road, but it's bringing acknowledgement to everyone and understanding what is the legacy you want to leave behind for kids. Because I do think like being an educator is extremely personal for every person on earth. We're all very passionate about the work that we do for kids. And because it's so personal, I think it builds upon itself year after year. I know when I was a teacher, every year, okay, how could I make that better for kids the next time I do this? How could I grow what they learned from this into adding it or connecting it to what we're going to learn next? And to me, that's what truly is building a legacy, putting the right things in place, not necessarily sequentially, but ensuring that we have a strong foundation. If you look at Legos, that's what you're doing. You're building a foundation. That is how you build a legacy, and it will take time, and it is a huge undertaking. I'm glad you said that out loud, but I do think every person that works in the district and every new person that's coming to our district is more than ready to take on the legwork, the footwork to make this a reality and help our kids see that they really are little legacies in the making, and we have to change their mindset about what they're capable of doing. We have to change our own mindset about what we think kids are capable of doing and build a foundation of how we're going to support what they're doing in order to create this lasting legacy of learning in Beach Park District 3.
I'm glad I asked that question.
I'm so glad you did.
I know, but your answer is like, it's perfect. It's a great answer. I know it's the right answer and it's your answer because this is about what your vision is for this coming school year. But things that stuck out to me were, it's not a reinvention of the wheel. Like what
No.
you're talking about is looking at individual and then targeting and then small group and then large group and all these things that come together. This foundation's already been laid in our district with the start of strong professional learning communities, dedicated time every single morning in our buildings at the elementary level, and then throughout the day at the middle school. But then more importantly, the structure that's come from our curriculum department, the foundation of doing core mini lessons that lead into small group instruction, circles, it's all there. So what I appreciate most about your explanation is that as educators, we're always inundated with the next new thing. Oh my gosh, this is another thing on our plate. How are we going to try to pull this off? We don't have the time. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the materials. And it sounds like this is just quantifying, putting a label to the work that's already being done, but refining it and calibrating it through terminology. Is it close?
Oh, absolutely.
What I've heard from multiple educators who have been so gracious to be on the show is our kids can, and if they're challenged, they can step up and they can perform and they can do the work. And I just want to share that for our audience because they're listening, they're educators, and it keeps coming up. It keeps bubbling to the surface that, hey, every time I've challenged my kids, regardless of their ability, they've all stood up and they've done it. And I think that that's just always so exciting. And it's great to hear from educators. So I love this legacy and the building on it because it's not something new. It's just we're quantifying it.
Correct. And I think people need to recognize, it's the supports that we put in place that make it possible, right? And our kids really can do anything with the right support and allowing them the opportunity, again, just to explore their own curiosity of learning and really build on that because support creates foundation, creates the ability to build stronger for longer.
Yeah. We talk a lot about the legacy that we are building as educators, and you just mentioned it. And you've also mentioned our students realizing that they're becoming a legacy themselves. So thinking about that, how can we get our students that once we leave them out of school and they go into our community, where do you see that, the impact of that in a sense of self-value, self-worth, self-efficacy in them leaving and going, I was at Beach Park, I was a student there, and I have a legacy?
That's a great question. So one of the things that we are going to roll out this year, probably one of the only new things per se, is every student and every staff member in our district is going to create their own learner profile. And then students will be able to see year after year, because we will do this year after year, they'll be able to see how their learner profile has changed as they start to grow and as they start to build on their own learning and understanding, and really empowering them to take charge of their learning and grow their own legacy and understand, like, you play a huge role in that. You play a huge role in the climate and culture in your building. You play a role in how others perceive you and take you into their friend group. And then you play a role in growing your own learning and your own person. And I think creating these learner profiles gives everybody a little window of insight into who we are as educators, because every staff member will make one, but also into our kids and what works best for them. And it's almost like a roadmap of being able to provide the support that they need in order to grow their learning foundation within our district. And I think that transcends out into the world later in life. And I think they will grow an appreciation and an understanding of Beach Park School District really provided me everything I needed as a foundation, as a learner, and told me I can be this legacy in the future. And they're giving me all these tools and all these, I'm going to call them bricks, bricks of learning in order to grow into the legacy I'm meant to be. And I think they'll be able to share that message as they get older, go on to the high school and beyond, that we did all of these things on behalf of them and their learning needs as a learner in our district.
Yeah, that's profound. I look forward to our students coming back and sharing that with their teachers, because every teacher, unless you're brand new, many teachers, and if you haven't had it yet, it's going to happen. Students are going to come back to you and tell you that you made a difference. You mattered. You told them that you loved them. You stood behind them. You supported them. You encouraged them, and you didn't give up on them. That's going to happen as a teacher. And that's the most profound moment an educator can have. I've been so fortunate to have kids come back and tell me that, and other teachers and educators have shared that. So I love this piece. So building on the lasting legacy, everything you just said, that is the vision for our kids to come back and what Beach Park did for them. That's a legacy piece in their life. How do you see support that our staff can give to one another to keep, when they get hit with those inevitable bumps in the road this year, when things are difficult, when people are struggling? And we've talked about this in the past, like what advice do you give to the teacher who's struggling?
We actually talked about this yesterday at our admin retreat as well. And I have preached this all 4 years of my superintendency, that collective efficacy is the number one thing that will make the biggest difference in classrooms across the world. And the more we lean into each other and work together to problem solve on what kids need or what the learning environment should look like, what we should be teaching, the more efficient we become as an organization, the more efficient every classroom becomes, and the more learning that will take place. So it's building that strong foundation of PLC. And I know that over the years, PLC has kind of evolved. And I think this year, our focus really has to be on talking about instructional practices and really growing those in the classroom and really like honing in on what works best for our students' learning needs. Again, those learner profiles are going to come back into play for this, and really understanding how our instruction truly impacts learning in the classroom and how we collectively can improve it together. And, I know people always laugh at me on the first day of school when I say, collective efficacy is the number one thing in John Hattie's research that will make the biggest difference in student learning. But it truly is. And like I said before, being an educator is extremely personal, but we have to put that ego to the side and realize everything we do, we should be sharing so that we collectively decide what's the best practice to meet the needs of our kids where they are. Because we can believe all day that our kids can do anything, because I truly believe that. But until we start having our practices match that, collective efficacy is what's going to get us there.
All right. So your personal legacy, Dr. Wilcox, when you think about your own career and your time here in Beach Park District 3, and you got years left, what do you hope your personal legacy will be as a superintendent in Beach Park?
My legacy will be that every one of our schools is awarded the Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence. And that's the legacy that I want to leave, because that means every person that works here, every student that goes to school here is getting the absolute best education based on what they need. And that is the legacy that I want to leave behind.
Love it. What's the one thing you personally most excited to spark and ignite across the district this fall?
Ooh, the one thing I'm most excited about. Well, I love a good theme. This is probably my second favorite theme. My theme last year is still going to be my favorite theme. I love the emotions from inside out. I love everything behind the idea of making core memories. But I do, much like you, I love the idea of Legos. I love building things. I think this will really spark curiosity in kids, because I think kids are just curious by nature. And until they start going to school, they want to learn and they want to grow and they want to build and tinker and do things because they're very curious and very innovative.
Yeah.
One of the activities we're going to do on the first day of school for Teacher Institute Day involves some ribbon. I'll just say that. And one of our staff her daughter is cutting the ribbon strips for me. And she demanded that her mother call me last night at 10:30 because she came up with a new innovative way to cut the ribbon faster. And so just think about that. That's a 13-year-old who's being super innovative when given a task that her mom's like, I need you to cut ribbon. And she came up with a faster way to do it. Like, all right, here's how we're going to do it.
Love it.
That's what our kids are capable of. And I just want every person to walk away with the understanding that we can't even comprehend as adults what our kids are capable of.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. There was a, Solution Tree. We've done a lot of work with Solution Tree, and there's a part, and I don't know if it's School Improvement for All, but one of the readings, it talks about we're teaching children to do skills that they don't have to do jobs that don't exist.
Correct.
Right? It's like we're in this time where there's all this volatility, but there's a ton of intuition and ingenuity taking place. And we talked last year, actually, during your podcast, about school and education has stripped the creativity out of children, right? Because there's research on that too.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad you brought that up because we get this opportunity to bring it back, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, switching gears. I wanted to touch base on something that is really massive, something you've never experienced as a superintendent, this daunting task of contractual negotiations. So I just wanted to touch on that because I think it brings a huge sigh of relief and celebration to our staff across the district that contracts are essentially done for certified and classified. And it's a beautiful thing to have this finalized contracts as we go into school. How does having these agreements finalized, do you feel, set momentum and positivity and build that stable foundation as you've just discussed for everybody as we start the year?
So I think climate and culture wise, it just creates or builds on this positive culture that we've already started establishing. And I think it was an extremely important foundational thing that had to be done before the school year started to set us on the right course. And throughout negotiations and in speaking with and working with our board, I made very clear that I could not start a year without our contracts being settled, just because I know how important, number one, they are to our staff, but how important they are to the climate and culture of our district as a whole. And so I entered negotiations with the absolute overarching goal of they will be done before we start school, because I do know how important that is to our staff. And I've said it over and over again, our staff is the foundation of everything that happens within our school district. I can have 1,000 great big visionary ideas, but the people that end up implementing the majority of them are our staff, and they are the backbone of our school district. And so in entering negotiations and having never done it before, the most important thing to me was that we got it done before the school year started, because it will set the tone for the school year.
Yeah. So this was your first time leading negotiations in your
It was
role
indeed.
as a superintendent. Looking back at the process, one, I want to thank you for letting me be a part of it. It was very insightful for me, and I appreciate having the opportunity to be able to have input and have some reflection with you as you navigated it with the rest of the team. And I also want to shout out the Board of Education. Thank you as well, because they're the kind of the final say in what happens for the district, and I'd be remiss by not showing the dedication and appreciation that they've shown to get it done as well. So looking back at the process, what were some of your bigger takeaways, your aha moments from working so closely with our union leadership and the negotiation teams? This is your 5th year, right? You're going into your 5th year. You've spent the last 4 years building equity, building relationships, working closely with the union, hosting monthly meetings, keeping the connection, building the transparency. What are some of your takeaways?
The takeaways. I don't think you can ever start early enough. I definitely think I would change how we do it in the future, because I do think there's a lot to be said for the relationships that I worked on building with our union leadership team. So I think I would do it slightly differently than we did it this time around, just because I had never done it. It was a totally new experience for me. And the other thing I would say is that I think all of our union leaders and our negotiation teams where staff were involved, they should be really proud of the work that they did. At all times, every person remained very professional while also speaking the truth about what they felt staff needed and what they desired the most. And I think that negotiations is always a give and take and a compromise on both sides. And I was just very proud of the efforts of both our school board in working with both unions and the union members that were part of the negotiation teams of how they handled themselves, how they fought for what they believe in. And at the end, we were able to come to an agreement for both classified and certified staff. And like I said, that was the most important thing to me as the superintendent of the school district, because I wanted all of us to be set up for success to start a new school year, because that's what our kids deserve.
Yeah. Well, being a part of it, I would shoot that back at you and tell you that being on the team, being in the audience, watching, you approach them with the utmost of integrity and consideration. And we've kind of talked about it here and there, but I haven't told you that I'm just so proud of you as a leader and being a true advocate for both the staff and the Board of Education. I mean, you as a superintendent are clearly walking a fine line. You are trying to advocate for your staff and give them what they need to be successful, while also working on behalf of the Board of Education. And that's a tough spot. And I've seen it firsthand, and I want the audience to know, that's a tough spot to be in. But every meeting, whether we were caucus or closed session or with the negotiating teams, you had the right attitude, you kept it positive, you answered the questions, and you always had integrity regardless who was looking. So thank you for that. That's just great mentoring for me. And I want people to know just how well you fought for both sides to make sure that you were transparent and clear with everyone. And it is a give and take. So I don't think it could have got any closer to the start of the year. You?
Yeah, no. And
Yeah.
that's a second appreciation I have for both of our unions, like getting their votes done so that we could have the board vote on both negotiated contracts at the August board meeting. So kudos to them, because that was a very quick turnaround for them as well.
100%. Absolutely. Okay. So you've always been a champion for transparency in the staff voice, but as we look to the district's future plans, what are the primary ways you're seeking staff input this year to make sure our educators and our support staff and all of our staff are co-architects of our building process this year and the success?
Gosh, I feel like we've coined new terms here, co-architects. I love that.
Yeah.
So one way that I have done that is what we started at our January Institute Day last school year, where every staff member was given the opportunity to sit on a team and talk about a problem of practice that we felt existed within our school district. And so from that, we developed a superintendent advisory team. They have been here working this summer, and they'll be presenting on our first Institute Day. They have taken the 14 action plans and done some work in order to prioritize on behalf of the district as essential things that we have to get underway, started, established, whatever word you want to use, built. And they are going to present to all staff on Monday at our first Institute Day before school starts. And I don't want to ruin anything for them because they were here just today finishing up their presentation. But I always want staff input. I constantly ask for it. I tell everyone my door is always open. I have people email me questions. I have people ask to meet with me and discuss things with me. I want our staff to have a voice. I want to empower them to use their voice in a professional way. And I want them to be a part of future decision making for the district because, like I've said over and over again, they are the ones who do all of the really hard work at the ground level with our kids. And so any decision that we make at the district level, I really need teacher input on how that's going to impact their day to day. So I feel like this team has done an amazing job to prepare presentation and prepare kind of I'll just say they've prepared like a calendar of how we're going to execute some priority areas for the coming year using the action plans that all staff had a voice in creating. And they're going to talk a little bit about, we're not doing every action plan, because I explained to every team that I met with, we can't implement 14 action plans in a year. People will literally lose their minds. But them having a voice in the planning of this and executing it, and then actually training and teaching our staff about it, just shows that my goal is to empower our staff, allow them to do presenting, because I think it comes way better from staff who are in the, on the ground level working together with other people, and allowing them to work collectively together to start implementing things that they know need to be changed in the district to better meet the needs of our kids.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you some questions about the superintendent advisory team. I'm thinking about how important it was that stepping back to January's Institute Day in 2026. So we're looking now 8 months ago, the inception of that idea of bringing together the district based on the ideas and feedback from everyone that worked here as educators, putting together 14 different ideas, having them build out action plans, like hear the voices, and then refining that and building a smaller team. It's just so pivotal because in education, we often, especially as educators, it's not to be cynical. It's because we've been conditioned this way as educators to think like, well, here's another new initiative and it's probably not going to go anywhere. And how much work do we want to put into it? And we've already done this, right? So those things are already out there. Well, it's important that we remind the audience that 8 months later, this has been refined down to a system with a team and a committee that still activates all the members of our staff in an efficient way. So kudos to you and the team. It's a good, diverse group of people with representation from every building. And I guess I would go back and say, maybe in addition to that, is I'm sure that this information will be shared at building leadership teams. As you build transparency, you've got members from leadership teams on there, and that's how it's going to kind of come back to the top, or at least come back to that committee. But I love that it was an idea in January, and there is a presentation that will take place during Institute Day that's facilitated by a specific group of team members that have been refined into this superintendent advisory team. That's really, really cool. It's great work.
It's going to be amazing. And I'm super proud of them because they built everything around school improvement, and they're building leadership teams and checkpoints for each of those things to ensure that what we are presenting to staff is implemented, and that we have a way to keep coming back to it and reflecting on it, refining, changing, improving. Because again, in the end, it's all about what changes are we making to better meet the needs of our kids so that they can become the little legacies they're meant to be.
Yeah. And who better to hear it from than boots on the ground, the staff who are doing it, right? It's one thing to come from administration as an initiative, but there's another word for the work that's being done, because it's not an initiative. It's a kind of refinement of process that already exists that's targeted and calibrated to the specific need. And I think that's going to make a huge difference. Educators are disseminated information all the time by administration. And
Yep,
it's a breath of fresh air not to have that situation taking place, but yet your colleagues working with you and helping it grow.
absolutely.
So we talked about a lot. You mentioned Blue Ribbon. So I would like to just kind of get into that a little bit. Vision 2030 and becoming a Blue Ribbon School District of Excellence is your North Star that has become our North Star. That's the legacy you want to see happen. So what are some tangible next steps that we're talking about this year to move closer to that recognition?
Absolutely. So the Superintendent Advisory Committee, that's going to be step one. Step two, and step one, what they're rolling out to staff on the first Institute Day, and some non-negotiables of what we would expect to see in classrooms. But step two would be to take the coaching that we received from someone from the Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence group. So they specifically gave feedback to every school about the need to do more learning laps, give more student feedback in real time. So that's going to be a definite focus area. And then that whole PLC process that we've talked about and that we have a dedicated time for at the elementary level in the morning and throughout the day at the middle school is really delving into those instructional practices and what we're getting on our return and investment of what we're doing in the classroom. Because that is the next step in PLC. It's great to talk about student data. Obviously, that's an extremely important part of PLC. But if you don't take the student data part and the results that you're getting and relate it back to the instructional practices that got us that data, it's hard to make any kind of improvement. You can talk about the 4 PLC questions all day, every day, but until you can relate it back to instructional practices and improving those instructional practices, you're just spinning your wheels. So I think those are the 3 big things we have to work on. Doing learning labs, so we're highly more engaged with our students daily, giving direct feedback in real time to kids and not waiting to grade assignments, so to speak, but really giving them feedback in the moment on their learning and what they're doing. And then the PLC process and really delving into that instructional practices. Are we using high engagement strategies with our kids? How are we enticing kids to know that you just can't miss a day of school because you're going to miss something awesome in the classroom?
Yeah. I think that's the mindset that our teachers should go into the school year with, and that is their focus. Can you just tell me a little bit about what a learning lab is?
Sure. Learning labs are making sure that you're walking around when kids are working independently or in small groups and giving them direct feedback in the moment and allowing them the opportunity to ask you questions and get your feedback on how they're doing in their learning process, so to speak. So it's getting up, moving around that classroom, engaging with the kids, whether individually or in small groups, and giving them literally direct feedback in the moment of their learning, what they're doing, giving them specifics, and always trying to tie it back to what is your learning objective, your learning target? Is it posted? Do the kids know what they're supposed to be learning? Because that gives it focus and direction for the day.
Okay. Thank you for that. Since this is a multi-year journey, and I think this is year 3, right? We're starting year 3 on that journey of, okay, Blue Ribbon. Just for our audience, how have we been measuring our growth towards the goal? What do we use?
So each of the principals has been uploading evidence because if you are unaware, the Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence application requires a lot of different elements and that you have evidence for each element within the Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence code for scoring. And while academics are super important, you either have to be a top performing school or you have to be a school that has made excessive growth over time through the Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence application process. And so I think that our focus is right now uploading evidence to show what work we've done collectively in each one of the buildings and what we still need to be able to do. And like I said, we had a coach that came from the Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence group, and they specifically gave every one of the buildings feedback on what they need to do more of, and then also started talking about evidence collection and how to refine that evidence and how to build that into both your building leadership team process and agenda, as well as into your school improvement plan. So it's all interconnected. And one of the first communications that I'll be sending out to families as well as staff, you're going to see kind of a roadmap of Blue Ribbon Schools of Excellence and where we are on the roadmap currently.
Awesome. Yeah, that's exciting. Great. Thank you for that. Foundation, the foundation. You've spent time as a superintendent, like this was one of your dreams, and I think will actually be part of your legacy because you have pulled off what maybe felt like the impossible. This past school year, you created the foundation, right? And there's a lot of buzz going on about this foundation and the incredible work that's been done there. So for our teachers listening right now, what does the foundation mean for them, their students, and their classroom?
Yeah, so the whole goal of us getting a foundation up and running as a nonprofit was to be able to give back to teachers in the classroom and enhance learning opportunities for kids within our district. And it's taken a while. So started this kind of whole process of getting a foundation together 3 years ago. We got all of our paperwork approved by the federal government because you have to apply to be a 503c. organization, which is a nonprofit organization. And then we held our first fundraising event last year during the school year. And a big shout out to the Shanty who helped us, provide a place and just provided an opportunity to bring people in so we could tell people about what we were trying to do with the foundation, as well as people could make donations and we were able to raise some money. The foundation is currently looking for a new president. So we're without a president right now, but ultimately the foundation will be coming out with information on how teachers can apply for grants to do extensions or enhancements of learning in the classroom. And so this year, for the first time, so we do have a little bit of money through the foundation, through the fundraising event that we did, so that we could introduce people to the foundation. They are going to kick off our school year on our first Institute Day with some monetary certificates, prizes for staff.
Wow.
For the first day of school, and they're just going to talk very briefly about what the foundation is and what we're trying to do and accomplish for the future. And so more information will be coming out about the grant application process and how teachers can apply for a grant. But just people need to know that we do have this foundation. This was like my little baby, trying to get it off the ground. And my understanding is the district had a foundation several years ago, but it just kind of dissolved. And we're bringing back the idea of a foundation and hopefully offering grants to teachers through an application process where they can do enrichment activities, potentially take field trips, do a special project in their class for project-based learning, but they would have it funded through the foundation.
That's super exciting.
Yeah, it is super exciting.
So congratulations on that. That's just really good work. And I knew it was years in the making. And the fact that it came through last year, it has been something that has kind of been in your background of work that you've been doing. So that's amazing. All right. So I want to jump into the Build, Spark, Ignite lightning round.
All right.
All right.
I love a good lightning round.
Yeah. You're the master builder. So these are your questions. If you had an unlimited supply of Legos right now, what would be the first thing that you would build?
Oh my gosh, I was just talking about this because I'm going to win the Powerball Mega Millions tonight for $1 billion. I would build a brand new school for our district. That is my ultimate goal. And if there was enough Legos for me to build a school that was grounded in innovation and sparking curiosity, that would be the first thing I would do.
I love that, man. Great answer. And just to make sure I was paying attention, if you happen to win this lottery, one way or the other, you're going to build the school, right?
Oh yes.
Okay. All right. Just want to be clear for the audience. I didn't want to assume anything. All right. Summer core memory. Keeping up with the sparking core memories. What's one favorite core memory that you made this past summer?
Well, I did something for myself for the first time ever and went on a trip alone to San Diego, which I took a lot of heat from my nieces about because we do a family trip every summer. And this summer we did not do one, but it was great. I needed it at the end of the school year to just go relax and disconnect from everything. Literally, people are like, "You're going by yourself. Won't you be sad and lonely?" I'm like, I would like to sit and talk to no one for 5 straight days and just read a book and lay by a pool and get in the water if I want to. And I did just that, and it was exactly what I needed. So that was a great core memory that I created just for me.
All right. Treat yourself, girl. Dang. What was the best part of that trip? Give me your top 3 things you loved most.
The best part of that trip, I got to go to all of my favorite places. So if anyone knows me, Tracy Griffiths will call it bougie. I'm a bougie food eater, so I like really upscale food places. I have very specific things that I like. And I also love sugar, and I will find a bakery no matter where I go. In fact, I believe last year, Mr. Capozo, I introduced you to a wonderful bakery in Nashville, Tennessee.
You did?
Which you actually went back to.
Yes, ma'am. It did not fall on deaf ears.
Those were definitely some highlights. I also just got to sit by the ocean. I love the sound of water. I love to be near the water. I'll be the first to tell you, I will never swim in the ocean because I won't be in a place where I could potentially be eaten by a shark. But I love the sound of water. I love to be near water. So I went to La Jolla several days during my trip and just sat on the beach near the water. And then I would say the other thing that was a highlight for me, I found an Airbnb there at a place that was like a condo building, and it had a pool. It had 2 gyms, one inside and one outside, because I work out every day and that's really important to me and my well-being. And it had hot tub. You could sit, they had chairs everywhere outside so you could sit outside. It had a pet spa so you could take your dog there and wash your dog outside. It was like the most beautiful place, hidden gem, I will tell you. So that was super awesome.
Good for you. Okay, this is a more personal question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And
Okay.
I know you're going to have a ton of answers probably pop into your head, so I'm just going to encourage you to go with maybe the first one. So we talked about your favorite memory this last summer. So what's a core memory in your life, your entire lifetime, that brings you joy when you think about it?
My elementary teacher, who was both my first grade teacher and my third grade teacher, and when I was a high school senior, was allowed to go and do hours in her classroom because I knew I wanted to be an educator, came to my high school graduation and gave me a scholarship to become a teacher.
Oh, man. All right, good. I know you got a ton of great ones. That's a really good one. That's pretty awesome, actually.
It was awesome.
Wow, first, third, then high school with a scholarship. You must have had a quite an impact on that teacher. I guess that's all I can say.
You know what? Her husband just passed away, and I saw his obituary on Facebook, and I called my mother and I said, you will go to his funeral so that you can say hello to Mrs. Baltima. And when she walked up to her, she goes, it's my favorite student's parent, my favorite student of all time. It's her mom coming to my husband's funeral.
How endearing is that? I love it. Okay, rapid fire. Here we go. Coffee, tea, or something else to survive the week?
Coffee.
Okay. What's the hype song for 26-27 school year this year?
That's a hard one for me.
Okay.
My hype song or the hype song for
your hype song?
team?
Do you have a new one, or you want to go with something that you know?
Please don't let anyone be offended by my hype song, but it's Avril Lavigne, I Ain't No Dumb Blonde.
Okay. All right. It has nothing to do with being blonde, right?
No. It has everything to do with I'm a woman and I can lead.
I love it. Yes, it does. I've listened to it with you. So that's awesome. If you could instantly give every teacher in Beach Park District 3 one superpower, it has to be the same for everybody, what would it be?
That they can read kids' minds.
Ooh, dang. Good. I like it. What's your favorite school lunch food when you were growing up?
Oh, it was pizza.
I know, man.
Even though it was the square pizza, it was still pizza.
Yeah.
Although I did love Taco Day.
Yeah, that crust was stuck to the cardboard box, but man, there was nothing like it. I love it. If you had to teach one subject for a day, what would it be?
Math.
Yep. Straight up. Our people need to know. What's one book or podcast you've consumed recently that you would recommend to a staff member?
Well, I'm currently reading, what is it called? Why the Importance of Mattering?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Power of Mattering.
Yes, The Power of Mattering. Thank you.
It's a great book. It wasn't a test question in case you're watching or listening. I just happen to have the book too, and I've been cranking through it. It's a good book. It's a great book.
Yeah, because just to my core, I really believe people matter a great deal, and we should do everything we can to make sure they know how much they matter.
Yeah, and the question was loaded. I mean, the best podcast that you're listening to is obviously Beyond the Bell.
Of course.
One word to describe the energy in Beach Park right now. What's our energy, you think?
Excitement.
I think so too.
Happiness? Happiness.
Yeah, I'm digging that, and I think so too. And what personally, Dr. Wilcox, last question, what are you most looking forward to this school year?
I am most looking forward to welcoming students and staff back into buildings because in the summer, it's really quiet and lonely, and I just have missed them all very much.
Yeah, me too. Good answer. So let me ask you, did I miss anything? Anything for the good of the order? Anything that I didn't cover? I didn't give you an opportunity to get out? Anything you want to share with the audience?
No, I'm just super excited to start another school year. It's year 29 for me in education.
Woo!
And I just can't wait. If anyone knows me, really, I love the start of a new school year. I keep everything secret. Mr. Capozzo can attest to that because he asked me a question today and I go, that's top secret information that will not be shared until Monday at the Institute Day. And so this is my favorite time of the year. I just love to plan for, and I just get so excited to welcome staff and students back into our buildings because they're the backbone of everything we do and they are our why.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, you do throw the best back to school bash. I can tell you that. And I'm not talking about the one that you've clearly created with 3 other districts, our 4th being ours, but just what happens on Institute Day. If you sat in my office, the hallway is filled with a bunch of unlabeled boxes about what's to take place. And she's not lying when she says, I know nothing about it. I truly don't. He's a master of disguise, but man, I get excited for the first day back too, because I'm like, what are we ambiguously working on to carry all this stuff in here and really reveal the secrets? So this was incredible. It's always incredible, Dr. Wilcox. Thank you so much for your time, your vision. You're always being willing to open up and have fun with everybody, not just me, but everybody in the district can attest to it. It's not a show. It's who you are as a human being. It's incredibly reassuring to head into a new school year with all the certified and classified contracts being settled, a clear path towards our blue ribbon goals, a shared mission and vision to build a legacy together, brick by brick. And for all of our Beach Park District 3 staff that are listening, thank you. Thank you for the endless hours I know that you've spent setting up your class, planning your lessons, getting ready to welcome your students back. Your work doesn't go unnoticed. It never does. You are the ones that build the legacy on the front lines every single day. And know this, you are the person across the hall inspiring the new teacher, the teacher that's struggling. You are their rock. You are their foundation. Keep your eyes out and help those who need you, because someone does. And it is such a rewarding experience to give back to the people that you work with, because they are always watching, and you, every one of you, are always leading. If you're a dedicated professional listening to the podcast for the first time, thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. If you're looking to become part of this family, this unique Beach Park family that's amazing, go to www.bpd3.org and check out our employment page. We had such a strong, solid hiring season this year. We have filled positions this year that haven't been filled in years, and it's so very exciting to start the school year this way. We would love to have you join our family and our team. Thanks for tuning in to Season 2, the premier show on Beyond the Bell with Dr. Wilcox. Like and subscribe. You can hit us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and I'm on all the socials. So TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they're all out there catching the clips. Until next time, we'll see you all on Monday. And if you're listening, keep Beach Park in the back of your head, because it's an amazing place. Anything else, Dr. Wilcox?
No, can't wait to start the year.
Me too. Well, in that, let's just say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody.